The storage unit of the mind, why you must inspect before you expect. We live like tenants of forgotten storage units, paying month after month, year after year, for boxes we never open. If most people were asked what's inside their garage, their attic, their drawers, their wallets, or their refrigerators, they wouldn't know. And yet the rent is still paid. That's the metaphor for the unexamined mind. Thoughts are shoved into corners, taped up, hidden, and denied. And those hidden thoughts cost everything. We're shocked at the monthly bill for storage space, but we never ask why the door is locked in the first place. The ego depends on this forgetfulness. It wants the mind to live surrounded by clutter it never sees, because as long as it doesn't look, it will believe the boxes are full. But what are they full of? Murderous thoughts. The Course doesn't soften this. It says the sleeping sun believes in attack, in murder, in hate. Not because God created hate, but because the ego is made of hate. Every grievance, every judgment, every little wish that another should lose so one can gain is a form of murder. We like to think we're angels, sitting on thrones of righteousness. But beneath the surface, the ego hides thoughts of revenge, punishment, and separation. The mouth betrays it when it says, "Wait until you see what God does to him," as if God were a cosmic punisher waiting to act on our grievances. That's not God. That's the ego wearing a mask of holiness. And here's why the mind must be examined. Because you can't expect until you inspect. You can't hope for peace while leaving the storage unit locked. In Chapter 11, Section 5, the Course says, no one can escape from illusions unless he looks at them. Looking is everything. Not arguing, not fixing, not making better. Just looking. Inspection without condemnation. It is the gentle shining of light into the dark. When you look, you see the unreality of what's been stored. And the unreality is the release. Forgiveness isn't cleaning up the junk. Forgiveness is realizing the junk was never there. You thought you were paying for crates of gold, but the boxes are empty cardboard. The only weight they had was the weight of belief. That's why the Course says, in Chapter 2, Section 1, you are not really capable of being tired, but you are very capable of wearying yourself. That weariness is the storage fee, the endless cost of denial. And this is why life feels heavy, because the mind keeps paying bills on illusions it refuses to open. We think the world created our burden, but the burden is the belief in guilt we've never inspected. That tiny scrap of hidden guilt is what projected the entire cosmos. Every grievance is another lock. Every attack thought is another bill. And the whole world of time and bodies is just the storage lot. We are walking among piles of illusions, mistaking them for reality. But here's the miracle. When you dare to look, you discover nothing real was hiding there. The light exposes emptiness, and in that emptiness is peace. The ego says, don't look. The spirit says, look gently, not to be afraid, not to condemn, but simply to see. Inspection is the undoing. Forgiveness is the recognition, and freedom is the walking away.
So why must we examine our minds? Because the alternative is to keep paying for storage that holds nothing. Because peace is found not in adding, but in seeing the unreality of what was thought to be true. Because the only way home is through the inspection of the mind, where it's discovered that the self believed to be murderous, guilty, and full of attack never existed at all. It was only a shadow guarding an empty room. And the Son of God cannot be contained by shadows. The Son of God was never in storage. The Son of God was always free. Picture a man with a key to a door he never opens. Month after month, year after year, he pays the fee to guard a treasure that isn't there. He fears what he'll find if the lock is turned, and so he never inspects the contents. But the truth is far simpler and far stranger. The boxes are empty. The weight is belief, and the freedom is in looking. In tonight's story, the storage unit was the mind, and the cost was guilt. But the lesson, as always, is eternal. Only shadows require guarding, and the light, once invited, has nothing to fear.